What is up, G? How's it going?
What's up, y'all? How's it going? Welcome back. We got a full slate today. We're going to start with best impactful players for their new teams, new faces, new places. You want to start it off?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start from five, go all the way up to number one. Coming in at
So,
number five is going to be Jalen Waddle. He was suffocating in Miami. Sean Payton went and saved him, brought him out of the water, and he is here in Denver, ready to roll, ready to be that deep threat for Bo Nix in that offense. And really, he'll be their differentiator. He's everything that they hoped Marvin Mims would be, and I'm really excited to see what he can do, specifically for fantasy football purposes. But he's a new face in a new place in Denver, Mile High City, and I'm ready to see what he can do.
yeah, I completely agree. Definitely someone you feel like hasn't reached his ceiling, right? He just has so much talent and all the attributes you want at that position. And you if he gets a really good quarterback, you got to think he can take off, and this isn't the best you've seen from him. At the same time, it's just as likely to go the opposite way. So it's exciting to see him in a new environment and really see what he could do.
I think he's probably the most happiest because he doesn't have a QB anymore that's going to be throwing him duck balls all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I was going to say something pretty mean. I'm not going to say it. I was going to say, um, make a concussion joke, but that's not nothing to laugh about.
Might as well make it now, though.
Nah, no, it's too late. But yeah, definitely excited to
All right.
see Jalen Waddle in this new environment.
My number four guy, new face, new place, is going to be Mike Evans. Here is another guy that is a complete upgrade than what they had in San Francisco last year. He's similar to Jawan Jennings, like his archetype, but he's just better in every facet of the game compared to Jawan Jennings. But Mike Evans, he's going to be their number one dog now outside of CMC. Outside of the past 2 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, he's been very healthy, very consistent, and he's just somebody that he's going to feel that stat line. He's going to feel that offense, and he's somebody that you can rely on, definitely in the end zone with his big body and everything. I love seeing Mike Evans in San Francisco. I think it's going to work out perfectly for him, and I think it's going to give that offense and Brock Purdy a reliable option outside of CMC.
Yeah, I completely agree. We kind of said it with Waddle, like everything you want. He's a huge target. He has sure hands. He can be a real security blanket for his QB, no matter who it is. So you could just imagine him being down there in San Francisco with Shanahan, drawing up plays for him. He's just like Andy Reid. He just makes every single player on that offense that much better. The sky's the limit for him. I know he's 32 years old, but he can really have another amazing season.
Hopefully, they can put up a force field or something to deter the substation and its casualty problem over there. So we'll see how that goes for Mike.
Man, that would be a nightmare.
I would ask for a refund. You can have my money. Just get me out of here.
Who you
All
got
right, coming in
next?
at number three. Number three is going to be Kenneth Walker. When you look at a player who has so much potential, we saw flashes of that in the playoff run last year, and everybody saw that in the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl MVP for the Seahawks last year. Just his smoothness, his quickness, then boom, he hits you and runs you over. You think about what is a perfect fit, who could make the most impact. He has the potential to make the most impact on his new team. What has Kansas City been missing all these years? They've been missing somebody who's reliable in the running game. Yeah, they've had Kareem Hunt, they've had Pacheco, but those guys really aren't reliable. One's old and one he's got feet in concrete all the time. Looks like he's running in place. But Kenneth Walker, he's going to do so much for Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes won't have to play hero every single week. The potential that that offense has when Patty does not have to feel like he has to be Superman every game, that can make him really dangerous.
Yeah, it really brings a whole nother element to this Chiefs offense. I really feel like it just injects life into them, right? You've got crap,
Rashee Rice,
Taylor Swift boyfriend.
Kelsey,
You got an aging
Travis.
Kelsey, so I think it just brings a whole nother element to the offense. Patrick Mahomes, you said it, is going to take eyes off of him. He's just a completely different threat and something they haven't had in several seasons. You never really see them out there since Tyreek Hill left with a really true all-star wide receiver. So bringing in this running back able to be a real game changer, it definitely changes the dynamic for him.
All right, we're switching over to the defense for my top two. Number two is going to be Dexter Lawrence, big guy up front on the defensive side of the ball. Talk about a defense that needed help. It's if it wasn't Dallas, it was going to be Cincinnati. Their defense is just horrible. The front end's horrible. Linebackers are horrible, and the back end don't even get me started. But they're making the right moves. The first thing they did was go and trade for Dexter Lawrence, big guy up front, and he's just a great run stuffer. And that's something that they needed because they had teams gassing him. He's also a leader that has a lot of physicality. So when you have a leader who brings that physicality, it's for a defense that just felt like Pop Warner out there, felt like Weenie Hut Jr. That can inject some life in a defense, and not just the defense, but the offense. Because Burrow doesn't have to worry about, oh, I gotta play superhero as well. So I really like these guys with their new teams. It's almost really just perfect fits for my top five.
Yeah, he's definitely not someone I had on my list, but I can definitely see why you picked him. I do think that the Bengals defense is going to need a lot more help than that to really turn things around, especially when you're losing Trey Hendrickson. I understand they're trying to fill that hole, but Dexter Lawrence is going to be able to do with his run stopping ability on the inside. I don't think is going to completely translate to what Hendrickson was able to do from the edge. So, again, time will tell. I know he's going to be very impactful, but I do think the Bengals still have a lot of work to do there. At the end of the day, that wasn't the question, right? Is who's going to be the most impactful? And I definitely think he's up there.
Tell, that's for sure. Coming in number one, if I put anybody else's name, that's just blasphemy. It's got to be Myles Garrett. He's going to be the most impactful player pretty much on any team as a free agent or involved in a trade this offseason. And now their defense is so much better. They didn't just stop there. They went and got a couple guys in the back end of that defense. This defense is really solid. I'm trying to find a weakness in that defense, and maybe it's at the linebacker position, just with the lack of experience in that linebacker group. But overall, that front line with Myles Garrett leading the charge and then potentially Aaron Donald coming back, Myles Garrett is going to have a field day, and he's going to have an offense on the other side that's going to keep the points going. So he doesn't have to worry about being a superhero as well. But Myles Garrett, freak of nature, unstoppable man, just a beast.
Yeah, I agree. No questions asked. I'm going to be pretty short on this one. He just turns that defense into the Space Jam Monstars pretty much. You've got McDuffie in the backfield. You've got Miles Garrett, and then you're possibly going to have Aaron Donald, and then you could really keep going on this team. But it just overpowers an already decent defense, and he's definitely going to be the most impactful. Even if he does half of what he does, what he did last year, it makes a huge difference.
All right, let's see your list.
All right, let's run through it. Number five, I had Jalen Waddle. We talked about this already. I think this is a pretty easy pick for anyone's top five. He's just an electric wide receiver. If he's healthy, he's going to make a world of a difference at his position. So we're excited to see it.
Yeah. Let's see what Jalen can do in Denver. Probably go crazy.
All right, at number four, I've got David Montgomery coming from the Lions going to the Houston Texans. I really think this guy is underappreciated. What he's been able to do in Detroit was extremely impressive. I know Gibbs showed out time after time, but what Montgomery was able to bring to the table, just that hard nosed running style, he's not going to let anyone bully him, and he's going to fight for every single yard. You can't ask for anything else. He brings that really tough, gritty element to a tough and gritty team. And I think he's going to fit right in, but at the same time, I think he's going to make a really big impact, especially when I know you don't want me to say it, but you possibly have a struggling quarterback. And again, time will tell on that. But David Montgomery's only going to help him. And if CJ Stroud cannot succeed with a running back like this in the backfield, I think that would say a lot as well.
It'd be time for him to go, that's for sure. I didn't want to be that fan. I did not want to be that fan where I put David Montgomery in my top five. I do think he will be very impactful. And my biased take would be, oh, he's probably one of the most impactful players that will happen this coming season. But I'm being a little unbiased in my pick. So David Montgomery, I love him. He's everything that we needed in a running back. And I think that he can be everything that we have wanted for over 10 years now. We haven't had a solid running back since Arian Foster. That's been probably
Right.
12, 13 years ago. We thought we were getting that of David Johnson making that stupid, stupid trade all those years ago involving D Hop. That didn't pan out. Didn't like it, but here we are with David Montgomery. He's going to be the difference maker on our offense. And like you said, if CJ cannot figure it out with him taking some pressure off in the run game, then it's time to say adios to CJ.
Yeah. CJ catching strays in the New Faces, New Places segment. Number
That's
three,
not the only place.
we've got Number three, we've got Kyler Murray. I guess I'm the crazy one here. I do believe he has a lot left more in the tank. When you just watch him on the field, at no matter what level he's ever played, you see him just flash off the film. He stands apart from the other players on the field, just the way he moves, his quickness. At the same time, we've seen some very subpar quarterback play over in Arizona, right? So you've got to think this is his chance to really establish himself and show the world, like, hey, I'm here. Like, the first couple seasons of my career, it's no fluke. The contract that I earned, I'm going to earn another one. So I really think with Kevin O'Connell, the pieces put around him, one of the best wide receivers in the league, Jefferson, I think there's more likely a chance that he's going to turn this team around and be very successful than for him to fail. So as long as he's cutting back on the hours on the Call of Duty, I think he's got a chance to make a real impact, and that's why he's number 3 on my list.
Yeah. If Kevin O'Connell can turn him into a man, then they succeeded. That's been his only downfall is his leadership skills and his leadership ability. So if he can lead that team, and I've seen some things in training camp, him and McCarthy kind of going at it at each other, and that's competition, right? You want to compete against each other, you want to talk your smack and dish it and get dished on at the same time. But like you said, it seems unlikely that he will not succeed given the pieces and the chances for success on the Vikings team. They've got one of the best receivers. They've got a great offensive minded head coach, and it's going to be really hard for him to mess it up. I do think he will be successful. It's just a matter of when will the success kick in. It might be longer than this season.
All right. Next two are going to be pretty quick because we've already touched on both of them. But number 2, I had Kenneth Walker. I think we said plenty. Super Bowl MVP. It's a well-deserved spot at number 2 on the list.
Yeah, like we said, he's going to fit really well with the Chiefs.
Number 1, self-evident. If anyone doesn't have a number 1 on the list, it's just blasphemy. So Myles Garrett, he's just a monster. He's going to do what he does. Like I said, even if he does a fraction of what he's known for, he's at the top of the list.
If anything, he's going to make the players around him better. A young player that comes to my mind is Byron Young, linebacker. I think Byron Young is going to have a career year, and that's going to do with the fact that Myles Garrett is there, and he's going to open up so much for Byron Young. That's not to say Byron Young is not an all-star and he's a great young player. He is. But when you have an all-pro, Hall of Fame defensive end helping you out, it's going to be great for your development.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a completely different playing field when you got someone like that next to you. So I completely agree.
Right, well, that is our best faces in new places. We're going to roll on to some training camp casualties. Last week, we got the news linebacker Scourton is out for the season with an injury from training camp. A couple days ago, Shamar Stewart was feared to have torn an ACL, MCL, whatever it is, in practice. But it turns out he just hyperextended it. So that is great news, especially for the Bengals. So great to see that what was thought to be a casualty from training camp is no more, and that Shamar Stewart is potentially going to be out only for a month or two. So that's great news. The Saints did lose one of their best and bright upcoming players in Brissy on the defensive end. We're starting to see these players kind of drop like flies. Hopefully we don't see any more injuries because it sucks for these players, but hey, it is the name of the game.
Yeah, at this point, every time around this part of the season, I'm just waiting for the ball to drop right. It just feels like the last couple seasons training cap, the Cowboys lose a really big player. So it is the rough part about this time of year. That's why I try not to get too excited. I say that now because I'm learning, right, but the last every year of my life except the last 2 years, I would be very excited. And around this time of year, waiting for the ball to drop, just it seems like every year the Cowboys are losing a really big player around this time of the year. So it's the rough part about training camp, but at the end of the day, it's a part of the game. And then you see teams like the Steelers with Mike McCarthy coming in and saying, hey, we're not doing live hitting anymore. And a storied franchise like that where they're known for their hitting and tough, hard contact practices, right? So that's an interesting thing for me to hear about. And I'm going to be really have my attention on how that works out for them. Because if it does work, right, and you don't really see a difference in their tackling ability and hitting ability, you got to be thinking, why aren't more teams moving to this? Again, we say this all the time, time will tell, but that's an interesting thing hearing Mike McCarthy come in and just completely changing what they've been doing for years.
Yeah, I guess you got to adapt with the times. Do you go contact, full contact, or no contact and just shell, meaning helmets and kind of walkthroughs? But if it works out, it's going to be raising a lot of questions throughout the league because I feel like they got plenty of time when it gets closer to the preseason and during the preseason to and brush up on the physicality and the tackling techniques and all that stuff and the tackling angles. They got time then to figure that out. Right now, I feel like it's just learning the defense or learning the offense, learning how to play with your teammates and play as a team and communicate and all that stuff. Learn how all that functions first. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So how are the vibes going? How are the vibes feeling coming from Dallas right now?
I don't even want to say it, bro. It's just depressing at this point. You laugh every time you ask me about the Cowboys because my body language is always the same. It's just the sad part is they give you every reason to be excited, right? The Cowboys are so good at it, so good at manipulating the media, getting you excited. Obviously, everything's coming together. Dak looks great. Defense looks good. You can really see the differences with the pieces that they brought in. Schottenheimer, he's just magician with his words, right? He can convince you of anything. He's extremely likable. He interacts with the media, doesn't give you these blank coach answers. Of course, Jerry Jones and the media presser giving you plenty of ESPN headliners. He says at the beginning of the speech, we're not going to cause any drama. I'm not going to stir it up. And then continues to hint at the Max Crosby situation, saying that we never walked away from the deal, knowing that it's possible for a trade in the future. But then before that, saying that he's so much in on this team that he wouldn't be opposed to putting all his chips in and making a big move for a big player. So tampering, not tampering, whatever you want to call it, it's interesting, right? At the same time, after all these years, it's been 30 years. I know I haven't been alive for all those 30 years, but I haven't seen my team win the Super Bowl. And I feel like at 27 years old, I've waited long enough, right? So it's hard for me to get excited at this point after the last couple of years. But to answer your question, the vibes are immaculate. Everything looks good. The offense looks like it's going to be even better than last year. You've shored up a lot of spots except the running back, but we've seen what RB can do, and all he has to do is be serviceable, right? As long as you have Pickens and CeeDee Lamb on the outside, you've got Ferguson, Cavante Turpin. It's a deadly offense. You got some really good linemen up front, some really good leaders. Dak is one of the best leaders in the league, in my opinion. They've got a name for the offense now, the Gotti offense. Everyone on social media is talking about it's corny, whatever. I thought it sounded pretty cool. Maybe that's part of my brainwashing. But to answer your question, the vibes are great. But as you can tell, it's a battle in my mind and my heart.
Oh man. Yeah, it's been fairly quiet coming out of Dallas. I was like, okay, maybe they're
Hmm.
steering away from the drama a little bit and then Jones had his presser and just dropped some drama bombs on everybody and saying,
Hmm.
you got to sell your future to win now. And it's the same stuff every year with him, but you got to take it for what it is. Most of the time, I feel like he's just talking out of his ass. But hey, that's Jerry Jones. That's the brand. That's the Dallas Cowboys brand. So I feel like they got a great offense, even better than last year. If their defense is anywhere close to average, they can make the playoffs. It is interesting to see what will come up or what will happen. What of all the words that Jerry says, what few words will come true? Like we always say, time will tell. But is this y'all's year?
I don't know. I'm not prepared to answer that question yet.
Come on, the new season, preseason vibes, optimism.
I will say this. There's always a chance. There's always a chance.
I feel like every fan can say there's a chance. It's starting fresh, clean slate, unless you're the Browns or the Jets or the
There's a lot of Jets
Dolphins or
fans out
whatever.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. God bless their souls.
So how about y'all? Houston Texans, I'm sure everything's going great. Everything except your QB1 showing up to training camp looking like they say a high school lineman.
Something like that. They're just going in on my boy CJ. The clothes did not help, but hey, I
It
mean
was the
CJ's
clothes
really been a lot.
specifically.
Oh yeah, they hated the clothes. They hated them. I don't really like the oversized clothes. If you're gonna wear shorts below your knees, you might as well pants. Wear pants, but Hey, I'm not a QB1 in the NFL, so what the hell do I know? But CJ, I am
It's
somewhat
definitely
impressed.
stupid. I was just gonna say that it's definitely stupid. People judging him right over his clothes, but at this point, after the performance he put on in the playoffs, they're gonna go at him for anything he puts out there, right? So he can literally not do anything right at this point unless he starts turning things around on the field. So I don't blame him too much for the clothes. If he was playing amazing, he would definitely have a different reaction.
For sure. It's crazy how that works. But the defense, I'm not worried about the defense whatsoever. It's all on the offense, particularly CJ Stroud and the offensive line. We're going to be doing a lot of different lineups on that offensive line, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. There's going to be a lot of competitions and position battles on that offensive line. Our first round pick, Keelan Rutledge, everybody's thinking that he's going to be the center, but they came out and said he's going to be competing with Jake Andrews for the center role. I don't like that. I don't like Jake Andrews. Keep him at center. Well, transition him into being a center, Keelan Rutledge. I really don't care if it's going to take a little while to get him in the groove being a center. We need a reliable center. We need a reliable interior offensive lineman. But overall, I will say CJ Stroud has been much different this offseason, and that's probably because he had a big old case of humble pie, especially in January. So he's been quiet. He's been working in the lab. I do see improvement. He got a fresh haircut. The vibes, when you're trying to change who you are, you're trying to get better. What do? You get a haircut. So that's what he did. So I'm feeling good about CJ. I'm not like, oh my gosh, CJ, he's going to save our season and all that stuff. I'm not there yet. If he's anywhere near his rookie season, then I will get to that level. But we're not there yet. It's like my trust was broken and it has to be rebuilt, particularly by CJ Stroud. So CJ, if you're listening, I know you are a capable quarterback. You are a dog. That's what everybody in that organization is calling you, a dog. You're a leader. Come on, man. Lock in. You know how to do it. You know what to do. Have some confidence in yourself. Have some faith in yourself. Run those plays. Run that pre-snap offense. Let's go. Come on. I sound like I'm
Uh,
trying to convince
that's the
myself.
That's the thing, though, right? You really don't need him to put on the performance he did in his rookie season just because they put everything around him, everything except the O line, right? Can't have everything, but the defense is the best in the league, and they've put some really good pieces around him. So we've talked about Montgomery. All he has to do is really be serviceable, right? Keep moving the chains forward, and then the everything else is going to come with it. You saw that last season. He made plenty of mistakes, but at the end of the day, the defense was there to have his back. So he really, I don't want to say be a bus driver, but pretty close to it. When you have an elite defense like this, this is when bus drivers win championships.
Absolutely. He just has to be average, and we will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's just a few people in sports media have said that. Dano and pretty much every fan in Houston is that's the thought process is if he's just average, we have the best defense in football. We've got the pieces on offense to make a push. Like if he's just average, we can represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's how close we are.
No doubt. And you know he has it's in him, right? The clutch factor, the X factor, right? We've seen it so many times from him. We've seen it in college, so it's in there, right? It's just him getting his mind right. His body's there, his throwing power, his attributes are there, right? I really think it's just mental. He's just got to lock in, like you said.
Exactly. So come on, CJ, you can do it. Well, what do you think about the whole Romo fiasco? We saw all the footage come out, and there continues to be more every single day. And AI is getting very dangerous because it has infiltrated PD, policeman cameras. It's going crazy on Tony Romo right now.
That was hilarious. I don't want to say I was smiling the whole time, but I definitely was. I can't feel too bad for him. He probably has countless zeros to his name, so you can see if he's not worried about it, then I'm not going to be worried about it or feel bad for him. Just seeing when the cop's doing the field test on him, she's like, "Do you understand my instructions?" And he's like, "No, there's too many." It's just hilarious. And then at the end, just like, "So did I pass?" She's like, "Turn around." No, I didn't, huh? It's just hilarious. What were your thoughts?
Hey, he's just trying to go see grandma and grandpa. It was,
Yeah, I
it
don't know
was,
about all that, but
I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious. It's funny.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
feel
not too
bad
much
for
to
him.
report on. Exactly, like you
Yeah, I don't
said.
feel bad for him. And it's just like I love Tony Romo. I liked him when he played for Dallas. I'm sure you feel differently depending on the day, but he's changed the game in football commentary. Just what he's been able to do, and he is a likable guy. I know there's not a lot of people. Well, there is a lot of people that don't like him, but overall, I feel like he's somebody that's very likable and just doesn't really care, and he's funny and just laid back. But yeah, you gotta know when you're able to drive and not drive, and take it serious. Tony Romo, what you gonna do now, big boy?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't bad at all. You feel a little worrisome whenever you click play on one of those videos, thinking it's going to be like a really bad one or like one of the Tiger Woods ones. Did you see that one? And he gets pulled over drunk and he's like, "Hold on, let me take this call real quick." He takes the call and then he hangs up and he's like, "Oh, that was the president. Sorry." Like, I was just on the phone with the president of the United
Yeah,
States. What were you going to say? You going to put me in jail or?
yeah. All right.
But yeah,
Next, we got a little bit of controversy going on in Tampa Bay. Baker and Tampa just seem to not be able to come to an agreement on what kind of deal he can get.
yeah, I'm standing on the outside right because I'm seeing all the cheers and the praise for Baker to get paid and everything. And at the same time, I'm looking at the stats and what he's done. And there's no doubt he's a serviceable quarterback and he's kept them in contention and kept them competitive. But I don't know. I definitely think you want to extend him, right? But if he's asking for top five QB money, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way you want to move. You know what I mean? Especially if they're not going to have a great year, they've got to rebuild. Like with the pieces they've lost, with the way that the team's going, they've got to rebuild. So why are you going to put all that money into a quarterback if it's not a Mahomes, Allen, or you know what I'm saying? That level kind of quarterback. So I definitely understand where the Bucks are coming from. At the same time, I understand where Baker's coming from. He's a confident dude. He's cut his teeth in the league. He's grinded, had it all, nearly lost it all, and worked his way back. And so he wants his payday. At the end of the day, it wasn't too long ago when he did get that contract in with the Bucks. So I think he should play out his year. And if he shows what he says he's going to show, he looked directly into the camera and he said, "I'm going to have a great year." Um, then that's only going to help him, right? It's going to make him more money. And if the Bucks are willing to sign him, great. So I think it's the best option for both parties at this time.
Absolutely. It's best for not just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and that organization, but for Baker. Like their relationship is almost symbiotic. It's they're not going to do much without Baker, and Baker I don't think will do much without Tampa Bay. They're just the perfect match at the perfect time, and he has done a lot for that organization. After Tom Brady, they're wondering, oh my gosh, are we going to have to go with Kyle Trask or some other no-name quarterback? Is he going to lead us to the future the next 10 years? No. And then Baker came and signed a contract with them, and he's kept them in contention. He's kept them pretty good, pretty dang good. Last year was just very unfortunate with all the injuries that they had, and with Baker fighting through all his injuries during the season. That had to play a lot into how they just fell apart in the middle of the season and his performance overall. But I don't think Baker Mayfield is top five money, but I think he's pretty dang close to top five money. And I would say he's top 10
No
money
doubt.
for sure.
Yeah,
If
for
he
sure.
cracked 50 million, if he cracked 50 million, I think that's the top 10. You're competitive enough to not get towards the front of the draft to get the top QBs in the draft next year, so or the year after. It would be of your best interest, Tampa Bay. Go ahead and sign your guy. This is your guy. Stop playing around. It's like a high school relationship, going back and forth, playing whatever that game is, breakup roulette, whatever.
Hard to get.
Yeah, hard to get. You both like each other, so go ahead and get going and get it signed and get this contract extension worked out so y'all can just focus on winning.
No doubt. If they know they're going to stick with him and they really believe that he's going to be a really good quarterback for the next couple seasons, lock him down now because the price only goes up if he plays better, right? So,
All right, well, are you ready to get into some fantasy football?
yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm going to kind of go down a little by little. So the most common team format is a 10-team league and a 12-team league. Now, the 10 and 12-team leagues can vary your strategy, change your strategies a lot because when you're in a 10-man, 10-team league, there's a lot more players available later on in the draft than there is for a 12-team league and so on and so forth. Fantasy football based on points, you got what is called a half PPR. PPR is points per reception. So anytime the running back or the receiver gets a reception, that's 1 point. And then you add on however many yards that reception was to get the full points gathered together, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. So you got a 10 and 12 team league, fantasy football, and then you have half PPR and a full PPR, which is for every reception, you get 1 full point plus whatever the yardage the reception was. I'm just going to do the standard team format. So your team is going to have one QB, two wide receivers, two running backs, one tight end, and then one flex position. So flex just means you can put another tight end in that flex spot. You can do another running back in that flex spot, or you can do another receiver in that flex spot. But really, it's who is your best kind of backup bench player that you could put in to your starting fantasy football lineup. Put them in the flex. Here is a little touch of fantasy football wisdom that I had to learn the hard way. If you have somebody playing, say like early on Thursday, like the Thursday games, and you have them in the flex,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and move them. If they're a running back, move them to one of your running back positions or your wide receiver positions, because if they don't have a good game and somebody else has the potential to have a breakout week, then you're kind of screwed because it narrows your chances. It just narrows your ability to make some moves and have some flexibility as the week goes on for that fantasy football week matchup, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, so I'm sure I'm going to be doing the same thing. Yeah.
Don't worry, I got you. And then you'll have one defense. Defense doesn't really matter because there's a thing called waiver wire. It's kind of like a free market thing where every week you just go and pick up a player that you want, but it is dependent. Even I have trouble kind of understanding the waiver wire order. It changes every week depending on who won, who has the best team, who has the most needs, so on and so forth like that. But defense, not too worried about the defense. You can always pick a new defense every week depending on the matchup. I will say, and I might be the only one on this hill, but I'm willing to kind of die on this hill. You have to have a good kicker. Kickers nowadays make so much points. It's very important that you get a good kicker who is reliable and who is on a good offense because they're going to consistently score a lot of points, get a lot of field goals and stuff like that. Then your team wraps up with 5 bench players, so 5 backup players. That wraps up your team format. Any questions?
No, no real questions. Definitely lets me know how everything goes. I did think that you had that defense that you select for the whole season, so that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look more into that waiver wire situation because if I'm gonna get into it, I want to know the ins and outs because I definitely don't like to lose. But that's definitely just the most surprising part. I would think that you stuck with your defense throughout the season, and I would think if your defense scores points and stuff like that, that makes a huge difference. So I would think that'd be pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy football it's all about the matchups. Like who your players are playing, the team, and then for the
Hmm.
defenses, are they going to be playing a crappy offense? Even if their defense kind of sucks and your defense that you're rolling
Hmm.
with currently isn't the best, it's you can always swap them out. On draft day, that team is probably not going to win you the fantasy football league. The fantasy football league is usually won in the waiver wire because every year you'll have guys come up out of nowhere because of injuries or just they've been given the opportunity to get rolling. And so if you have the chance to pick them up, put them on your team, and they continue to succeed and just go crazy in fantasy football, that's really what we live for in fantasy football. Just the dopamine rush you get when you were able to pick up a player on the waiver wire and they help you to the championship in your league. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. You said something there. That really changed my perspective on it. It really is about matchups, right? Because my thoughts are like, I'm just going to pick good players and keep the good players in their spots, and you should win. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, it depends who they're playing. If you see the person you're going to match up against or play that week is playing the Jets or something like that, someone that scored on a lot or has a really terrible defense, you might want to make some moves on your end of the situation. So it's definitely interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
It's awesome. And I'll talk about the draft a little bit because it kind of segues with what I said earlier. But usually in your draft, if your first two picks, it doesn't really matter who they're playing. You're always playing them. Like, say, a Jameer Gibbs or a Bijan Robinson, Puka Nakua, Jamar Chase. You got those type of guys. You're going to play them regardless of who they play because they're just consistent. They're going to put up points. They're going to put up numbers. So outside of that,
Hmm.
usually your first 4 to 5 picks are going to be a running back or a receiver. The first round, it's a free for all. The player that you want or the player that you think is going to be the best or has the chance to be the best, go ahead and pick them in round one. But after round one, two, three, four, and five, then you just kind of roll with best player available for wide receivers or running backs. And usually for running backs, the drop off in talent and skill level is usually around 3, sometimes round 4. So if you want to go crazy on running backs, definitely do it in those first few rounds because the talent after that just kind of falls down 100 levels, and it's you don't want to be in that zone because it sucks and it's awful. Then you're depending on the waiver wire, and not all the time you want to depend on the waiver wire, but it is helpful.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Who is someone or who are a few players that you think is most valuable for a fantasy football team? Like a player or players?
Off the top of my head, obviously, I'm going running backs first. I think Jonathan Taylor would be up high on my list just because for me, he's going to produce. He's been doing it for every single season he's in the league. Doesn't matter if his team shit, doesn't matter if his quarterback shit. He's going to get what he needs to get done. So for me, he's undeniable. Not picking off the top of the easy ones, right? Like a Kenneth Walker or Christian McCaffrey and stuff like that. But a Jonathan Taylor as a I wouldn't consider him a sleeper pick, but just someone that you know is going to be producing and reliable and most likely healthy.
Yeah, a lot of people see him as like a boring pick, and he's overlooked a lot. I love
It's
Jonathan
boring.
Taylor.
It's
He's
boring.
one of the yeah, it is the Colts.
Yeah.
He's a great pick. I will say or not say that he could potentially be somebody that I target in those early rounds, but we'll just have to see. Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be consistent year in, year out. You think of CMC, I drafted him last year just out of chance. I wasn't planning on it, but it happened. And it ended up working out. He was the running back number one overall in any category, any position. But those older players like him and Derrick Henry, like this season, it's just so hard for me to want to go and draft those players just because of their age. CMC has some injury history. When they get to a certain age, especially over 30, 31, 32, 33, it's really hard for me to start draft those early on.
Yeah, no doubt, especially with when we're talking Christian McCaffrey, the injury history, it could happen at any time. That substation is somewhere lurking around the corner.
Always, no days off. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the fantasy football segment. We're going to roll on.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Ready to get in some of the UFC?
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. Really don't have too much to go on. What I really want to go on is the fight we've got this week. We have Daniel Rodriguez versus Euro Medic. You know, it's not a crazy card. We got Jan Blachowicz coming back and fighting. And then we got Alexander Rakic as well coming in against Marcin Tybura. At the end of the day, the really only real story of this fight card is the fact that Daniel Rodriguez just served 8 months in a Tijuana prison in Mexico. And just hearing the stories from that and what he's been experiencing, you've got to think it would be pretty cool to see him go on a nice little run here. Um, he's a little older. He's definitely a UFC vet, but he has some really good boxing. And every time you think he's going to backslide, he just turns it around and pushes forward. So He's a really good fighter. He does have a lot of holes in his game, but at the end of the day, we see fighters who are kind of one dimensional go pretty far. Guys like Sean Strickland and stuff like that. So I'm not saying he's going to go on a title run or anything like that, but it would be good to see him flourish into a real star towards the tail end of his career.
Especially coming back from that Tijuana prison, 8 months in there. Can't imagine. Can't imagine what's been going on in there. But hey, he's here. He's back. He's going to hopefully knock the guy's lights out this coming weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. He went and did interviews and he didn't have it too tough. He was talking about how he was kicking it with the cartels, playing PlayStation and training on the pads. But anytime you're locked behind bars, it's got to be hell, right? So it'd be really exciting to see him get back in there.
We're going to get into our triumphant moment. Breaking news: Deebo Samuel goes ahead and re-signs with the 49ers on a 1-year, $7 million deal. This just broke a couple hours ago. So this has got to be my triumphant moment of the week. Deebo Samuel he's not that old. He's 29, 30. He still has a lot of gas left in the tank. And for him to not have signed with the team almost coming into August is just absurd to me. It's crazy. Yeah, he's lost a step, but him losing a step is still better than a lot of other receivers in the league at this point. So it's great to see him reunited with San Francisco. Him back in a Kyle Shanahan offense is very exciting. So my triumphant moment, Deebo re-signing with the 49ers.
Yeah, that's a good one. I saw it as well when I was pulling up to the house. It's not one that I really expected, but it makes sense. The relationship never really went too far south, right? He showed he can still be productive with the Commanders. So it'll be good to see him back where he was when he was playing the best football of his career. And I think he really has a chance to pump some life back into his career. I'm going to go with still with Chris Olave. New Orleans Saints signed 4 year, $132 million deal, 90 million guaranteed. That's big for him. That was one of the questions going into the season. You got Tyler Shuck. He's going to be a real security blanket for him. By no means am I a New Orleans Saints fan, but when you're a guy like that and you get 90 million guaranteed, I don't think he came into this league with too much hype around him, right? So seeing what he was able to do to get that contract is pretty special.
Yeah, he was appropriately hyped coming into the NFL. Not overly hyped, but yeah, he's just a solid wide receiver, and they've been looking for somebody since Michael Thomas had his whole fiasco when he was still with the Saints. So they got their guy. He's been their guy for several years now, and anytime you get guaranteed money, especially at 90 million guaranteed, that's going to be triumphant because that's we're talking about generational wealth right there. So great to see him. It seems like they have the core somewhat solidified for that offense now. So it's exciting to see what Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, see what they all can do together.
Sounds good. You ready to close this out?
All right, go ahead and drop us a follow, drop us a like. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and we will see y'all next week.
See y'all.